Tau Ceti Prime didn't have a moon, but the sky still burned with light, plasma storms flickering like false auroras over a black horizon. Captain Alira Voss watched the colors dance through her visor, arms folded, jaw tight. It looked peaceful. Deceptive, like most things in the galaxy. Camp Kilo 7 was quiet tonight. Too quiet. Voss to perimeter, she said into her comm status report. A second passed. All clear, came the sleepy voice of Corporal Nez from the South Tower. Just another night of fried rations and boredom. She clicked off. Boredom was better than body bags. Alira turned and walked the gravel path toward the barracks, her boots crunching under the low-gravity crunch of imported earthstone. 30 soldiers inside. Lights dimmed. Vents humming. No signs of threat. But her instinct scratched at her spine like a whisper she couldn't quite catch. Then she heard it. A chirp. She stopped. Looked down. Something blinked up at her. It was Mutt. The camp's so-called pet. A three-legged, fox-sized creature with mottled gray fur, two mismatched eyes, one amber, one a glowing blue slit, and a tail that didn't wag so much as twitch like a scanner. Back to your box, Alira murmured. Mutt blinked again and gave a soft chuff. It didn't move. You're not on patrol tonight. Another blink. Then, as if making a point, Mutt turned and trotted into the darkness near the ammo depot. Alira frowned. Not because she was worried Mutt would get into anything, it was technically harmless, according to the outdated files. But because it never ignored a direct command. Ever. She tapped her wrist pad. The logs flickered. Mutt wasn't officially registered as a military asset. Just an organic anomaly, non-aggressive, found during the collapse of Lab Virex 12. Someone had brought it to Kilo 7 as a joke. Over time, it became a mascot. A strange, twitchy, often creepy mascot. Still, it listened. Until now. She made a mental note to flag the behavior anomaly tomorrow. If there was a tomorrow. Across the field, in the shadows behind the refueling station, high infiltrator Shrek watched with unblinking, lidless eyes. He had waited 9 planetary rotations for this moment. Kilo 7's defenses had been mapped. Its rotation cycles, sensor gaps, atmospheric fluctuations, all logged. The Arxane Collective didn't make war like humans did. They dissected it. Biotech fused with strategy. Cold precision. Brutal efficiency. And tonight, the humans would be removed. Without trace. No alarms. No survivors. Not even Ash. Shrek slithered a command in his tongue, an ultrasonic ripple only his soldiers could hear. 3 Arxane agents moved. One entered the generator building. Another climbed the outer wall with suction-tipped limbs. The third, smallest, slipped beneath the barracks through the sub-ventilation shaft. Shrek turned his attention to the command center. That was his target. Then, he paused. There, in the distance, just beside the munitions storage, was a creature. He zoomed in through his bio-optic lens. Gray fur. Uneven limbs. Seemingly docile. Shrek dismissed it. Alira reached the command tent. Lieutenant Harding was slouched over a console, half asleep with his boots on the desk. You're on night command, she snapped. Not nap duty. Harding straightened, blinking. Sorry, Captain. Just, long shift. She eyed the monitors. Something ticked red for half a second, south quadrant motion sensor, but vanished. Ping again? Harding rubbed his eyes. Probably interference. Storm cell overhead. Still. Flag it. Yes, ma'am. Alira didn't like ghosts on her sensors. Too much experience with real ones. Her thoughts drifted back to Cerberus Protocol, a classified op she'd been part of 2 years ago. A bioweapon retrieval. Things went wrong. People died. A creature escaped. The file was sealed. and the brass moved her here, to the ass end of deep space. That creature, the one they lost? No. Couldn't be. Could it? Out behind the armory, Mutt stopped moving. It tilted its head. A sound, too high for human ears, rippled through the night. The signature frequency of Arxane command. Mutt's pupils dilated. Something deep inside its neural lattice clicked. The third eyelid blinked. A secondary spine ridge rose beneath its fur. The creature growled softly. Then it began to move, not walk, not run, but stalk, with the slow, fluid grace of something built not for companionship, but for execution. Inside the camp, Private Dela Cruz lit a stim cig behind the mess hall. "You're gonna die young," came a voice from the dark. Dela Cruz chuckled. "Gotta die somehow, Jory. Might as well taste good on the way out." A wet crack answered him. Then silence. Jory never replied. Dela Cruz turned. What he saw in the shadows didn't make sense. Not at first. A figure, limbless, boneless, or maybe too many bones, slithered from the dark. Arxane. The last thing he saw was 4 glowing nodes, and a flash of organic steel. Back in the command tent, Alira's wrist pad buzzed. Harding stiffened. "Ma'am, perimeter team just dropped off grid." No response. "Multiple. Lockdown now," she barked. Before he could move, the tent lights flickered and died. Everything went black. Then red. Emergency lighting kicked in. Alira's comm screamed static. But amid the chaos, a low growl vibrated through the air. Not from speakers. Not from machines. From just outside. She stepped out into the cold. There, beside the entry gate, stood Mutt, drenched in something dark, its claws extended, eyes glowing white-hot in the red emergency lights. At its feet was an Arxane body, torn in half. Alira froze. "Mutt," she whispered. The creature turned slowly. Met her gaze. No wag. No whimper. Just a sound, quiet and deadly. Click. Alira didn't know what that meant. But for the first time since Tau Ceti Prime, she wasn't afraid of what was coming. Because she knew. Whatever it was, they weren't getting past her pet. The emergency klaxons failed. First sign something was very wrong. Captain Alira Voss yanked open the armory's override panel, flicked the manual breaker, and slammed her fist on the reset node. Nothing. Just red lights and silence. She grabbed her rifle from the rack and chambered a round with muscle memory. If the system was offline, so were the automated turrets. They were blind. Alira to all units, she barked into her comm check-in. Full alert. We are under attack. No answer. She toggled channels, command, medical, barracks, maintenance. Only static. She glanced down the corridor. Harding was gone. Just gone. No blood, no boot prints, no sign of struggle. The tent flap still stirred like someone had passed through seconds ago. Her gut turned to ice. Across the compound, Shrek slid into the heart of Kilo 7's infrastructure, data core, comm lines, defense subroutines. All dark. Their systems had folded with one pulse from his organo-scrambler. He moved like a whisper, footsteps muffled by his membrane-wrapped claws. The path to the command uplink was clear. Until he found the body. Arxane. Disemboweled. Fresh kill. Shrek's pupils contracted. He activated pheromone trace. Nothing. The attacker was masking its scent. He knelt. Analyzed the wounds. Deep punctures. Precise. Spinal breach. No hesitation. This wasn't human work. Alira crept toward the barracks. Shadows cut hard across the corridor from flickering emergency lights. She found the first body, Private Dela Cruz. Face frozen in a look of confusion. No visible wounds. She knelt, checked his pulse just to be sure. Dead. Then she noticed the slight indentation in his neck. Barely visible. Poison. That meant infiltration, not full assault. The Arxane were hunting silently. Her comm crackled. "Captain?" "Say again." "North sector breached, they're inside, too fast." Static. Then a human scream. Then nothing. Alira stood. The time for silent patrols was over. Mutt moved like a wraith, hugging walls, darting through broken pipes, tail twitching with radar-like precision. It no longer registered the base as home. It was a hunting ground now. An Arxane scout moved ahead, clicking into the dark. Mutt dropped from the ceiling. The creature's claws extended mid-air, embedding into the alien's back. One jerk, and the spine cracked. The scout spasmed once. Died silently. Mutt didn't wait. It dragged the corpse into the shadows. Eyes flashed. Biosensors expanded across its skull. Pupil dilation, optic filters adjusting. It was seeing the world in layered spectrums now: heat, sound, electric field fluctuations. Another pulse. To the east. Alira stepped into the med bay. Blood smeared the walls. 3 corpsmen lay still, throats slit cleanly. But something was off: no defensive wounds, no struggle. She moved closer. Scanned the wounds. Then she saw it: paralysis toxin. The same kind used in covert Arxane assassination teams. It left the victims aware but immobile before death. She clenched her teeth. Cowards. Behind her, metal scraped. She spun. Rifle raised. But it wasn't an Arxane. It was Mutt, covered in black ichor, eyes glowing white-blue. Its chest plates had split open, exposing ribbed armor like interlocking vertebrae. Claws were longer now, serrated. Its tongue flicked once, tasting the air. "You followed me," Alira said, not lowering her weapon. "Why?" Mutt stepped forward. Laid a severed Arxane hand at her feet. She stared at it. "What are you?" Mutt didn't answer. But its tail curled in a shape unmistakably human. "Guard." Shrek reached the barracks. 8 soldiers asleep. Too easy. He raised a hand. But something slammed into him mid-motion, hard enough to knock him back 3 meters. He rolled to his feet. A blur landed between him and the bunks. It stood upright. Not fully quadruped, not fully biped. The hybrid. Shrek froze. Cerberus. He'd seen the prototypes in war briefings years ago. Cancelled after a lab went dark. The project was considered a failure: unstable, uncontrollable. He believed the reports. Mistake. The thing growled, low and guttural. Shrek lunged. They collided like meteors. Alira reached the bunkhouse moments later, hearing the crash before seeing the aftermath. Doors shattered. Lights blown out. Inside, bodies sprawled across the floor, Arxane and human alike. And in the center of the room, Mutt. Bleeding. Breathing heavy. Beneath its claws, Shrek stirred, alive, barely. Mutt looked up. Not pleading. Waiting. Alira moved slowly. "You could have killed him," she said softly. "Why didn't you?" The creature's tail tapped twice. "Orders." Her throat tightened. Cerberus wasn't just a weapon. It was a soldier. Still obeying commands. Even after all this time. Even after being discarded, treated like a pet, forgotten. She raised her rifle. Shrek's eyes widened. One shot. Then silence. They cleared the rest of the compound in under an hour. Mutt led the way, silent and precise. No Arxane left standing. 12 human survivors. Alira made them fortify the med bay. Reinforced doors, emergency power routed from Mutt's organic core. Yes, it could do that too. Apparently. When dawn broke, smoke drifted across the compound. Alira sat beside Mutt on the command tower. You saved them all. Mutt didn't respond. Instead, it lowered its head onto her lap. Exhausted. She stroked its fur, which wasn't fur at all, but a synthetic weave of sensor filaments and muscle thread. Cerberus, she whispered. That was your name. Mutt blinked. Alira gave a half-smile. No. I think I'll stick with Mutt. Mutt chuffed softly. And wagged its tail. The scent of scorched insulation lingered in the air like ghost smoke. Ash swirled through shafts of golden light as Camp Kilo 7's morning sirens, now useless, lay silent. Alira Voss limped across the compound, pulse rifle slung over her back, ribs aching with each step. She had 12 soldiers left. Most were wounded. 3 couldn't walk. The med bay was out of power, patched together with scraps and prayer. But they were alive. And that alone was victory. She found Mutt crouched atop the northern wall, overlooking the crater-strewn perimeter. Its back armor still flared in defensive posture, but its breathing had slowed. Eyes scanning. Watching. Anything? She asked, stepping up beside it. Mutt didn't look away from the treeline. Its tail thumped once. Then twice. Yes. Alira's jaw tightened. How many? The creature turned its head slowly. Opened its mouth, not to speak, but to release a subtle, harmonic tone. It pulsed across the terrain. A beat later, it flicked its tail. 1. Inside the shattered comms bunker, something moved. Shrek wasn't dead. Not yet. The bullet had hit his lower chest, painful, damaging, but not fatal to Arxane physiology. He'd played possum. A trick humans used often. Effective. Now it was his turn. He coughed, licked the blood from his lips, and checked the organic pulse detonators strapped to his forearm. Still armed. Still live. Plan B. If the camp couldn't be taken, it would be erased. He slithered through the debris, following the heat signatures of the remaining humans. One cluster, tight. No guards. No surveillance. Easy. But his gut stirred. That thing, the hybrid, it hadn't killed him on purpose. It could have. It had held back. Why? Alira stood in the infirmary, staring down at the injured. One had burns along his spine. Another, a rookie, barely 20, was breathing through a cracked mask. They were all looking at her like she had answers. She didn't. She only had time. And Mutt. Everyone with 2 working arms, she said, grab weapons. We may not be done. Private Lenz raised his head. I thought we took him all down. Alira met his eyes. We missed one. The room stilled. She turned to Mutt, who had just padded in behind her, tail lowered, head turning slightly to the right. She followed its gaze. The motion sensor panel. A soft blink. Zone 3. That was the fuel depot. Her stomach dropped. Move, she shouted. That bastard's going for the tanks. Shrek knelt beside the main fuel line. His hands trembled, not from fear, but from the toll the human weapon had taken. Still, he pressed the detonators into place. 6 of them. Synchronized. 30 seconds from ignition to vaporization. Enough to erase the camp. And the creature. His thumb hovered over the primer. Click. He froze. A growl. Low. Close. He turned slowly. The hybrid stood there, eyes glowing, posture low. No charge. No roar. Just stillness. Shrek narrowed his eyes. You were made to destroy, he hissed. Why hesitate? Mutt blinked once. Then moved. Fast. Alira reached the depot moments too late. She found the first detonator with 3 seconds left. Yanked it free. But there were more. She dropped to her knees, scrambling through dirt and cables. Her hands bled as she dug under panels, tore open boxes, traced wires that spiraled like veins through the compound's heart. 2 more. Then a 4th. The 5th was buried beneath a floor plate. She pried it loose with the butt of her rifle. Time was running out. Shrek fought with desperation now. Mutt was faster. Smarter. Every strike the alien made was countered with precision. His blade caught once, skimming the creature's side. A glimmer of blood. But it didn't retreat. Instead, it stepped closer. Shrek roared, swinging wild. And Mutt leapt. Its claws locked around his throat. This time, it didn't stop. One clean twist. Shrek went limp. Mutt dragged the corpse away from the last detonator. Then sat. Waiting. Alira reached the 6th and final device with 2 seconds on the clock. Her fingers slipped. Her breath caught. The countdown froze. She exhaled hard, fell back against the crate, and looked up. Mutt stood at the door. Its flanks were bleeding. Its eyes, dimmer now. But still, alert. She rose to her feet. "You did it," she said. Again. It padded closer, brushing against her side. For a second, it leaned into her touch like a tired dog. Then it limped back outside, gaze scanning the field one last time. By noon, they had sealed the camp. Alira recorded her report with no flair, just facts. 58 confirmed Arxane kills. 12 human survivors. 1 creature unclassified. She ended the log with a simple line. Survivors credit success to an off-registry hybrid codenamed Mutt. Recommend reactivation of Cerberus protocol. This one works. That night, she sat beside the fire pit with Mutt lying across her boots like a shadow. "You're not just a weapon," she murmured. "You're family now. You know that, right?" The creature opened one eye. Didn't move. Alira chuckled softly. "No medals. No honors. But you saved us. And I don't forget that." She reached into her coat and pulled out a strip of dried meat. Mutt sniffed it, then slowly, deliberately, accepted the offering. "Good girl." And for the first time since the blood started falling, Mutt wagged her tail.